Hello, welcome. Today we're with Cruz, and he's from WiseHive, and Craig Hardy, CEO and founder of StartDate. We're here today to talk about AI and how it integrates with technology and into human resources and talent management. So we got a few things that we're going to cover today in regards to these topics. But first, I just want to be able to say, hey, Andres, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Craig. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Cruz. I'm currently serving as the Vice President of People Operations at WiseHive, where we specialize in equipping businesses in the digital space. Some of the services that we offer are business strategy, interim leadership, organizational learning, and career coaching. A little bit about myself, I'd say, I've been in the industry, in the HR industry, talent people development space for over 16 years now, typically working for global tech and financial organizations, in addition with my experience with several startups. I can say since entering into the HR industry, I completely fell in love with the diversity of the HR function. And, I saw the significant impact that they have within organizations. I'm really excited to have today's conversation with Craig around AI. I do believe that AI is transforming what we do and how we do it. I'm happy to be here today, Craig. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for that, Andres. So again, Andres is the People Operations Director over at WiseHive, and I encourage you to look that up. We'll have the web link in the in the show notes below. So again, thank you so much. Again, so I'm Craig Hardy with StartDate. So StartDate is a platform. It's a software platform helping, trying to tackle with technology, talent management, and some of the issues that we face. So it's not the be all end all, but it is one more step towards trying to manage. And so that's kind of the conversation that we're having today. So we're going to lead into the conversation, and I guess I'd just start with the first question. So I want to know, just kind of high level, how technology has worked within your, because you're focusing with WiseHive on the small to medium business size space. How do you see technology helping them, or where do you see the needs there that they could apply? What do you see in that landscape?
Yeah, I mean, technology can, significantly streamline HR, practices for all companies of all sizes, I would say. There's different things that come to mind immediately. When I'm thinking about large organizations, even medium-sized organizations, data analytics for decision-making are critical, right? Having the ability to pull data, analyze that data to provide insights either into employee performance or engagement, it really allows companies to make informed decisions and create strategies for development, different ways that I would say this can help even small organizations, right? How can you automate administrative tasks? Are there ways to free up your team to focus on strategic initiatives? Employee development and learning also is critical for small organizations that I'm encountering today. Some organizations don't know or don't have the technology tools available to them right now, that they could actually look at adapting to create programs either to support individuals' growth or organizational needs.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's fantastic. So I'll give a practical example for again, StartDate and how we do it. Because when you think about talent management, it's just like such a big, I kind of refer to it like an elephant. And we've seen this analogies before with other things, but let's say, so talent management is an elephant, and we're all trying to say, how can we make that elephant better? It's kind of like, what piece are we looking at? So I'm going to say I'm looking at part of the elephant today, maybe one of its legs, with where I'm trying to help. And so mine gets real practical here. There's a lot that StartDate and my company is kind of trying to do and leverage, but the practical reason is how we've applied artificial intelligence to it is to be able to say, we all know if we're human resources, talent management, that if we have a requisition and it's a real important hire, it's a managerial something or something. And so somebody's written that job description, whether it was yourself or it was a hire, a CEO or somebody else in the organization. They put a lot of painstaking details into saying, this is what we're looking for. They have to have these must-haves, these are strong preferences, and we want them to have this kind of background and this kind of industry, et cetera. Okay, so we understand the requisition, And then we go about collating and going through the resumes. And so say we have a stack of resumes, and let's say it's 50 deep. And they all seem to have some kind of background that might be a match. And so the process in recruiting or talent management is that you would study the job description and then start digging through those resumes. And just speaking, because I've owned a recruiting firm for about 15 years, when you get into about resume 10, my brain starts to hurt.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I've been there in a meeting with someone that was taking a call from somebody applying to a position, and they were trying to interview them on the phone. I'm like, is this the way you hire? Is this how you do it? I'm like, there's tools out there that can create efficiencies. So no, that's great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if it's in the point really, and I won't elaborate too much on that, but it's like if you've got 50 resumes and your brain's already really hurting at 10, and it's just a chore. I mean, you have to be so switched on to just keep going through those 50, because normally what's going to happen is you're going to have to say, oh, they might be a fit. Let me call and figure out, or email them and figure out if they did this or that or the other, right? So you're getting broken up in that context. And then, other things come into across your desk, like personal matters might come across your desk. A phone call comes in, a text comes in, somebody's calling for your attention within the company. So it's not like you're just able to just really focus on all 50. So what ends up happening is some of those 50 could get lost, right? You just couldn't get to them. So now so you've got these inefficiencies that will come up, like you said. Your brain is hurting. You've got a lot of other tasks on your plate. And then I found that the other issue would be, well, guess what? There's more than one requisition you're having to focus on. Right? And so
yes.
Then I think the last thing with that is, it's usually this, and it's a pass or fail. So you're looking at somebody, you take a calibrated decision of yes, let's keep them in the pile, and no, let's not on the others, right? And so then you had to make a yes or a no, because then you come back to the yeses and you start working on the yeses. That's kind of typically how it goes. And so basically, if you broke it all down, there's some inefficiencies there. It's hard. You're hurting. You might miss people. You didn't get to the end of the stack. And then even if you said yes to 20 and no to the 30, then you're still left with like, who's the best out of the 20?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, immediately.
Okay,
some of the stuff that I thought about when you were saying that is the candidate experience. When you're thinking about 50 candidates, how is the candidate experience for all those 50 candidates? What are they going to say about your company? Because there's not timely, updates or feedback or communication, whether it's through automated messaging or just engagement, it really hurts your organization, right? And the branding over it. And, when you mention, the speed that it can, provide, maybe it's supporting, with sourcing, the tool that the AI provides to source, the candidate to identify the top talent right there. It might also reduce bias, I would say, because, a lot of times, using that type of tool, it can ignore the demographic information and can just kind of focus on the skills and experiences.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought it up. When I was building StartDate, it all goes, when you come to artificial intelligence, it basically is you're building models, right? And the models are basically data models that do all the examination and whatnot. And so you're exactly right. So as I was building, I was learning about some court cases that had actually taken place in New York, to where they banned AI, artificial intelligence, with human resource. And then they were doing some of the same thing in California, although it hadn't hit legislation. So I met with a lot of attorneys who kind of oversaw these types of things. And so we built our models exactly with that. So what we would do is we only import a candidate's main details. So like, for instance, the jobs where the entity, the length of time they were there, all the skills associated, what they did. But what we would end up doing with the modeling is we'd leave out where they got their degree at times. So it would be like a bachelor's in accounting, but not a bachelor's in accounting from Kenya or anywhere else. And also we would leave their name out of the modeling. And then obviously address and all those things are out. So it was just down to skills, length of time, what they've accomplished. And we built our models on that to prevent any bias. So you're exactly right. So yeah, I would say what StartDate did in simple terms was build those models, and then you can insert job description, insert 1,000 candidates, and then it optimizes based off what we just discussed in ranked order. And I'll have to show an example sometime, but basically what it does is instead of it being a lot of paper, it's a really clever UI. So we have all these graphs and donut charts, and you're able to kind of just see in a glance like, oh, okay, so the things I was asking for in the job description are actually being bubbled up. And that's why these top 10 or 15 or 20 are in that ranked order. So we applied AI just to be able to help the optimization so that we could actually get through the stack of 50, if you will, or in some cases, like a lot of companies, get through the stack of 1,000. So everybody got a good shot at the possibility. So
yeah, no, and whenever I look at roles right now, when I see kind of how hiring is going and what roles are opening, you can see a job be posted, and within an hour or 4 hours, there's hundreds of applicants already. So right. I can imagine those recruiters, not having the tool that can help, expedite, and identify the talent. Those are things that I would say are crucial for recruiters, because you mentioned it earlier, there's not just one requisitions, and sometimes the business doesn't realize that their requisition isn't the only one that the recruiting team is working on. They might have 20 others in their stack that they're trying to focus on. So yeah, tools like this can definitely improve the time to fill, and also identify top talent sometimes where they get left behind, and there's so many candidates in there.
Yeah, I want to raise a quick topic because I had a conversation this week with a candidate who was looking for work. So I'll pose the story, and then I'm going to ask the question. The story was real simple. The candidate basically said, and this is, again, we're here in April 26, 2024.
Yeah.
The quote unquote, I'm having such a tough time. I've had 20 years in my specific niche of sales and marketing, but I am having such a struggle with finding opportunities. I just am not getting feedback and replies, and I'm not getting offers. And so then the conversation went to my question is, well, what's your strategy for your search? Of course, that led into a lot of conversation. I won't go through all of that, but my point is how are you looking for these jobs? Tell me about the jobs you're, the process. And it ended up being where her process was applications online only. Okay. So she didn't realize, maybe there's other ways to go about this, but it was applications online. And so now we're talking about she's not getting traction because she's applying 100% through online sourcing. And then the question went to she's asking me, how does it work? What are these, companies doing these days online? Are they, should I be matching my keywords and my resume to the keywords that the people are asking about, like in the job description, etc. So before I give my answer, Andreas, what are your thoughts about that? Have you seen that before?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the keyword matching and all that?
So I think when you're thinking about a job search, it's a little bit deeper than just applying online, because I think there's, like I mentioned earlier, like so many applicants with one application. So you have to get out there a little bit and network, whether it's with recruiters of that organization, people of that organization. What I found a lot of the times, while there's a role posted and where we are looking for the top talent, sometimes hiring managers already identified, who they have in mind, and they've already have them as the number one, and when I'm thinking about, matching words of your resume, things like that, I think you have to be careful with it a little bit. While, ChatGPT has tools, or, OpenAI has tools available to create, cover letters and enhance your resume in different ways. Right. I think you have to be cautious on just blindly adding everything into your resume because, ultimately, has to be validated in some way, right? You have to have the skill that you're putting on there. You have to be able to validate that you can perform the job. And so I think matching some of the keywords is okay, but matching every keyword, trying to get, put into the top of the stack, I don't know how that works. I really don't think that works. I feel that it has to do with more networking, collaborating, reaching out to the recruiting team that's handling those jobs, reaching out directly with the message saying that you're interested might open the door to a conversation.
Yeah, that's great advice. Anybody listening to this podcast today, that changing of that strategy that Andreas was just talking about is so crucial. That's not the topic of today, so I don't want to spend the rest of our time on that, audience, but that is so, so important. Listen to that, take it to heart, because most people today are saying, look, we have the internet, it's been around for a long time, all these tools, and it's easy just to push all my efforts into the online world. So, but we disagree. So what I'd like to say is in regards to the keyword matching. So folks, what we've done with the latest of AI technology, and I'm talking about the things that are being rolled out even every month here in 24, is we have just been able to, and I'm talking about StartDate, to be able to incorporate what we call studying the unstructured text of documents. What that basically means is we have created the AI, and there's other AI out there as well that can say, in a job description that has 1,000 words, we have trained the model to try to understand the 1,000 words. Like, what are they actually asking for? And then to look at the resumes to be able to say in resume number 1, in those 1,000 words, who is that person exactly and whatnot, and then do the matching. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of online application sources that are still existing are still based on the keyword matching. So somebody behind the scenes basically would have said, you know what, these are the most important keywords. And if the candidate has those in the resume, and in fact, if the candidate uses some of these keywords several times, then there's more weight given. And so what ends up happening is whatever the algorithm was crafted, that it's a basic algorithm, it's a weighting algorithm. We don't know who wrote it, and we don't know, and you can't ascertain like what it is. And so what the candidates are doing is just kind of what I call like they're throwing, it's like throwing a penny into a wishing well. You throw the penny in and you make a wish and hope it works out. That's kind of what you're doing when you're online submitting, because you don't know what who wrote the algorithm and what they're asking for and what they're looking for. So then what you're doing, kind of think, or the candidates tend to think, well, I'll just throw 100 pennies into the wishing well and surely some of them will stick. But what you're not getting, guys, is you don't know actually if it's going through the filtration process in the, when you push submit. We often think, oh, of course they're looking at every resume. They're just not replying to me. Not necessarily if it didn't, it didn't match up and kind of rise in the rank. So sorry to tell you that, but that is the problem with keyword matching in the past when it comes to online applications. So anyway, we're trying to address it with StartDate, but I just want to let you know, don't be naive to think that every system out there works perfectly, whether it's in LinkedIn or whether it's Indeed or ZipRecruiter or something like that. A lot of it's still based on keyword matching. So,
I can say from my career, in the 16, 17 years that I've been in this field, a lot of my roles have not come from me applying directly to jobs. They've been recruiters or somebody connecting with me on LinkedIn or other social opportunities. So, definitely, consider that, if, other options, as far as connecting with people or, connecting with companies that can support, that next phase of your career.
Yeah, that's great, Andreas. I appreciate you mentioning that. And again, audience, just listen to that. That networking is so huge. We need to have another podcast just on how to do that. But don't overcomplicate it. Guys, you need to understand that it's just getting out there and not just staying online. It's getting out there and really talking to your network or finding networks to talk to. So we have a few minutes left. I want to ask another question, Andreas, as it relates to, it's a real high level question, but thinking about retention in companies keeping their talent. And the talent not leaving because of different reasons. How can technology help that, in your opinion? Whether it's created or it could be created, what do you think?
Yeah, great question, Craig. Technology plays a crucial role in, I think, in everything right now, and especially in employee retention, right, for companies. Some things that stand out to me, and just thinking about platforms, I would say, a platform that employees can engage with each other, that provides a safe space where employees can either receive feedback, recognize each other, collaborate with each other. Those social interactions in the workplace can really drive, a positive work culture, or maybe a sense of belonging among employees. Other tools that I think about, that I've utilized, is performance management for career growth, right? Where management and employee can stay connected continuously, receive feedback, and kind of be engaged on performance. Not just relying on annual reviews. I think technology can support that, whether it's supporting an employee's, goals and aspirations, or areas that they need improvement in. It can really, help, stay engaged, right? And help employees. Other things that I think about, when I'm thinking about technology, if right now we're in two different spots, right? We're in two different places. We're on a call, and a video call. So having the internal communication tools that can, allow employees to stay connected, communicate with each other through a messenger, through a video chat, not necessarily having to be in an office. Like, when we transitioned all of our employees into a work from home space, that was the critical piece of it. Do we have the internal communication tools where employees can stay connected, meet with each other, and collaborate on projects, or, things that they're working on, tasks that they're aligned and working on together?
Yeah, I love all that. Man, that's good stuff. So in summary, what I've taken away is, you said a lot of great things, but it's about the internal communications, having those communications between management and the employees. And you mentioned utilizing some software or some people management type processing to help enable that. And I would say yes. So if you've got a small organization, then it's just about you management listening today, being engaged. But what if you have a large organization and now you're relying on human resources or talent acquisition team to keep up with the 10,000 people? That's where you really need to have good systems laced in through software. And then I love what you also said. You talked about the internal management conversations that would be existing on a daily basis. So whether it was about just workflow, or how are they doing? HR having the internal kind of easy communications. Think of it like a mobile app or something to be able to kind of have some back and forth. I think it's important. So I'll tell you one way that we built it in, Andreas, and it's actually just it's very niche, but it'll get across what kind of you could take this use case and spread it around into different organizations and whatnot. So we have a product that we're rolling out in the near future for public accounting firms, and it's very specific to public accounting firms. So it's meant to really help their ecosystem. So what's happening with public accounting is, and I'm generalizing, but basically it's you got a lot fewer people going through the education system who are choosing public accounting. Now, if they're in accounting, they're kind of saying, well, look, if I go to public accounting, so now we're talking like the big four, I have to work lots and lots of hours for less pay than if I went into industry, which is what they call industry, to be able to say I could work as an accountant at higher pay for the 40 hours a week. And so you have this problem. And then even within the space, there's just, within public accounting, they have so many needs. So they're hiring, but again, they don't want to pay as much. But all the boomers are retiring, so it just leaves a huge gap. So this problem's being experienced. So we've created in our tool some retention helps. So it's not the answer for every problem, but some help. So like one of the helps is we have a predictive career tracker, and you can do some searching and whatnot, but basically it shows you're able to do easy searches, and we make it real easy with the UI to be able to say, okay, for this type of this role that we have going on in our organization, who and where are they in that track? And basically I'll be able to see, like if you wanted to say these 1,000 people across our organization worldwide would most likely want to be elevated to a different role within the next year. Let's start engaging with them now to kind of ask them. And then we have these internal tools to where they can kind of have some anonymity. So it's not just saying, hey, Andreas, tell me exactly what you're earning and what do you want to earn. It's got some other tools that basically allow them to have the engagement with some of those folks. So it's kind of two tools. One is they can predictive look to be able to say, normally people would want to be rising up in their career by a certain point, and that means new titles, new possibilities, and new money. And so how can we identify them way in advance so that we don't lose them to industry or to another firm? So it's just proactivity, but it's building it into software. It's not even really AI at this point. There is some little bit of AI with it, but it's mostly just organizational software that helps with the productivity. So anyway, I think technology can definitely help with retention. We have to be creative how we can use it, and then the humans on this side have to be, proactive to actually use the tools to make it happen. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Retention is, if you want to keep that talent, having a tool like you mentioned right now, where people can track their performance and career growth, is so important in this day and age. Everybody wants to have those opportunities in front of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been an enlightening conversation. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here in a few minutes, but I wanted to kind of say, Andreas, love to hear kind of, again, a little bit more about maybe what would be part of your interest in, being a WiseHive now with people operations. What do you need? What are you looking for? Maybe in terms of networking, or even in terms of technology. I just would love to open up the floor for you.
I'm looking, obviously, WiseHive is an organization that's supporting businesses with business strategy, right? So we need tools that can support that. When you're thinking about organizational learning, whether it's hiring or onboarding, offboarding employees, they need the tools that can support their organization, right? And what I'm doing is just trying to reach out to businesses that either have no HR team or a small HR team that are looking to build up and that are looking to, have that type of development within their leadership. And so organizational learning is so important. When you're thinking about getting in front of people, either, doing a training in front of a group or doing it virtually in a group. That's kind of what WiseHive does right now. But we are definitely engaging, partnerships like StartDate, and trying to leverage those organizations as a tool that other companies can use, on their day-to-day.
Would you or somebody in your organization be interested in coming and doing kind of a free seminar, webinar in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to small companies to kind of speak to them about some of these topics?
I would definitely be open to joining you, or, kind of being a part of something like that. I find the number one thing that people are looking for are, everybody has their phone in their hand. Everybody has a tool, and that's that number one computer's in their hand. So if you have a tool that they can leverage and utilize for growth, for learning, that's key. And I would love to be a part of that and share with other businesses for sure.
Folks, keep that in mind. I did an MBA program a long time ago, and one of the courses was organizational and behavior and people development. And oh my gosh, I thought, what am I walking into? But walking through that course, I learned a lot. An MBA, it's basically a generalized, step into a bunch of different categories. And that was the only course that I was stepped into that talked about human capital, people development, taking care of the people through the process of the journey. So anyway, all businesses need it, and sounds like WiseHive could, really help you guys out, even with some free help and webinars, or coming in to talk to your team 30 minutes about a couple different topics. So take Andreas up on that. He's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And guys, we want to thank you so much. Encourage you to stay tuned and to reach out to us if you have any other questions about AI, talent management, technology. We'll give you our 2 cents, or even point you to some tools and see how we might be able to help you. So thank you very much for joining. And Andres, thank you for joining. And I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Bye for now then.
Thank you.